Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much longer. Man, I've been waiting all night now, that's how long I've been on ya.
Welcome, guys. This is FocusedMotion for BetOnDrew.com. We are doing a hand history review of a MTT that I played yesterday, and a little unique, and I'm just reviewing it myself. We are in the future going to have people reviewing hand history together, but I pretty much have an idea of what happened that I did wrong, and I want to kind of share it with you guys, and kind of want to go over it because I think if you can learn from your mistakes, you can, I guess, benefit from it. Anyway, moving along. So yeah, this is the $5 cube that goes off on merge. Let's see, it's like late night, $5 buy-in, one rebuy, one out on 2K guaranteed. I think, in my opinion, a pretty profitable tournament. You just have to pay attention to many different things. Your image, people's image, how they play, and so forth, and all that good stuff. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with it. It's really nothing. It's not a long one, actually. So let's get on with it. Usually, when we do an unlimited rebuys, I'm pretty much involved in pretty much every hand. But with a one rebuy, one add-on, I'm somewhat tighter than normally considered in a rebuy period. But I still try to mix it up. And I did look at some spots here that I missed, and I want to share that with you. And also want to go over some spots that I put myself in that had I just did a different, had I played it differently, it would make my decision a lot easier. And I want to kind of go over that too as well. So here we go. I got H2 offsuit, and I'm pretty much gonna fold it. Yeah, to a shove by yes, it is 1, and he has a 6 against 10s, and he gets it straight on the turn against jacks as well, so he has a nice little stack. Moving along, 2-5 offsuit, gonna fold, pretty straightforward. 3-9 suited, gonna fold. Now, if it was unlimited rebuys, I would actually limp that along. 5-7-0, gonna fold. And you notice right here that everybody's limping a lot here, so you can tell that it's a pretty loose table. Queen 4 offsuit in the button, in the big blind, I decide to fold. Again, if it was unlimited rebuys, I wouldn't hate to call there because if you flop hard, you'll probably get their stack. It's a rebuy period, so forth, so on. 3-6 suited in the small blind. Again, another hand I would play if with unlimited rebuys. Against this open, you're getting gazillion to 1 odds. If you look over here on the Hold'em replayer, to the left hand corner, you'll see I'm getting 2 to 1, almost 3 to 1 on my money, and it's actually going to increase because Golan's probably going to call too as well, which he does. Moving along, 6-7 offsuit. Again, another hand I'd play if with unlimited rebuys, but since it's just one rebuy, one add-on, I decided to fold. And also, you'll notice that I actually did do the rebuy. I do that typically every rebuy period, every rebuy tournament I have, I rebuy right away, so I have all the chips I can use. And 3-9 offsuit. Another hand I would play if it was limped around, unlimited rebuy. 7-8 offsuit, another hand, same thing. You can tell that yes, it is 1. It's getting really involved with a lot of hands. 10-2 suited, definitely a hand I would play, unlimited, but not here. And not in a free out. We move over to this seat here. We have 8-9 offsuit. Okay, now it's a little bit different here. And I can't really find out where the buttons are. The buttons should be right here. Okay, cool. Now, my thought process was, okay, a lot of people are kind of limping along now. It seems like that's a trend. And I can safely see a flop with my 8-9 offsuit, right? So, and I'm pretty sure the small blind's going to call, and the big blind might, the button might call, and so forth, and the big blind will check. So, I'm cool with that. So that's my thought process there. So far, so good. The small blind decided to bump it up a little bit, but as you can see, if you look at the pot odds, when it gets to me, it's just a no-brainer. You're gonna call. So I'm getting 4-1 on my money. Tesla can be a lot higher too because Ace is gonna probably flat along, which he does, and we see a flop. Pretty great flop for me here. I got open ender. I got the nut open enders, and so basically, I'm loving it. So at any rate, we obviously are gonna check, but we can't check because this guy Marty Mar bets out. Now if he bets out super small, for some reason it just erased my bet. There you go. He bets out minimum. So it's kind of weird. Like, what would he do that with, right? Obviously, I'm getting 37-1. I'm gonna call. If somebody raises it, someone can raise it, and that's fine. I don't want to raise it, and somebody else re-raises, so then I lose the chance to see the next card, right? So I just call, and everybody else calls along with it, which is kind of cool. I like that. I hit my money card, the gin, number 5 of hearts, and here it gets checked, and now I decide to bet. I decided to bet because, for one, since Marty Moore gave up the initiative, pretty likely that Ace's player will check back behind too as well. So I want to get money into the pot, so by the river I can get pretty much my whole stack in, right? So somebody can call with a jack, somebody can call with an 8 that has an open ender there, and so forth. And someone could definitely call with 3-4. So I decided to bet out about half pot, which is fine with me. We get one call, and we get another call. The one that we get called right away with Trevor, he's the one that popped it pre-flop. River comes to 10, gets checked to me, and I decided to bet 1485, which is about half pot, a little bit less than half pot. I definitely want to get value here. I don't want to bet too low because they can call me with a 6, like really easy. I definitely want a jack to call me here, a jack to pay the price to call, and so I decided to go ahead and bet that amount. And also, given the illusion that I might be able to fold because I have 1500 behind. But at any rate, we get one call, to fold, and we got 10-9 to pay us off on the river. Trevor hit his 10, so I'm not quite sure what was the reasoning behind there, but it's cool. Maybe he thought that I didn't have the jack, so his 10 could be good, but you know, all good. So moving along, got 9-6 offsuit, folded. 2-7 offsuit, obviously folded there. H10 offsuit. I decided to min raise. This is a little interesting thought. I do want to take my share of pots too as well. So I do want to open some hands. So when I have a big hand, like let's say I have aces, I get more action versus I just totally knit it up in the rebuy period, which is totally fine if you are doing the one rebuy one add-on. I don't think it's a bad idea to knit it up somewhat, but at the same token, you want to kind of balance your image too as well. So he calls, I fire, he calls. Now I fire here thinking that I have the best hand right now. The flop is paired and it's a 4. Since he called, I intend to fire again on the turn when checked to me. And come with an 8. It is connected to the flop, but if it checks to me, I'm going to fire. And he calls, I think he called again here. I like the sizing. I might have made it a little bit bigger. I think I got kind of sneaky, or not sneaky, but trying to be kind of like coy and be like, I have trip 7s, right? So 7-7, there's 7-7 there. But yeah, that was kind of, you don't need to do that kind of stuff, you know. You're just going to level yourself in the end. So he decided to call. At this point, I'm kind of worried because I'm not quite sure what he's calling me with. And I'm not going to fold out a 7 on the river if I bet again. And most likely I can fold out 5-6, obviously. And 4 is the only thing I can try to fold out, but I don't think he's calling down 2 streets out of position with a 4. So by this time, my game plan is if he checked back on the river, I check back too. Because I do have ace high and it does have showdown potential, so that's what I'm going to do. So a deuce comes off, doesn't change anything. So pretty much he could have an overpair here. He can have a 7 trying to trap. He could have a 4 here. He could have 5-6 for a straight. He could have boat. All these kind of different things. So my bet basically means if I bet and he calls, I'm beat. So no real need to try to get any value here. I just go ahead and check back. And he shows king, queen of clubs. So that was cool. Basically, we kind of float, which was interesting. 4-9 offsuit on the big blind. I imagine I fold here. And I do. 4-3 offsuit in the small blind. Let me change this over here. I definitely would complete if it's limped around. And this situation, I'm completing by the very nature that DOJ is going to check almost always here. And I get to see a flop, and if it's low flop, I can totally represent it and should be able to take it down. Flop's kind of raggedy. King, queen, 5 really doesn't help my hand. It really strengthens Marty Mars holdings. And DOJ average hand, he probably could have a queen here, but you know that's in the high range of his hands. If he, that's in the low percentage of what he could be holding here, a queen. Anyway, he checks, and the button checks. This is a situation now. The deuce comes off. Now that gives me an open ender. You could argue for a check, and I think I should check. I'm not quite sure if I did, but I would like a check here to keep the pot small. Really not trying to inflate the pot out of position. So in this scenario, I do check, which is good, and it gets checked, and the button checks. We totally missed the river. We're just gonna check fold. There's no need to get crazy, and everybody does that, and it looks like ace high takes it down. Yeah, so I like the way I play that hand. But trust me, guys, you'll see some hands that I've totally butchered, and thus prompted me to display my horrid play in video, and we're going to go over it in a second. We get top-notch ticket, jamming it in for 62 big blinds. Totally weird because, you know, it's not an unlimited rebuy, it's only one rebuy, one add-on. So don't know what he's doing that with. Bad play, in my opinion. Jack 9 offsuit, I fold. Again, if it was unlimited rebuys, I probably would call along. And that's that. Ace 7 suited. I decided to isolate. Again, I have chips. I have over 185 big blinds. So there's something to be said that I need to utilize my chips in some capacity and not just sit on it. Yes, you can sit on it, but the whole point is, you know, if you have leverage, why not use it, right? Just don't spaz out. If you look here, we get a UTG limp and Marty Mar flat. Marty Mar, if you can tell, is playing 74% of his hands, and thus far Nathan has been playing 50% of his hands. So when I isolate here, let me refresh it. It looks like it took out the bets. When I isolate here, I'm thinking I'm pretty ahead of Nathan's range, and if not, if he calls me, then I have good position on him, so I can put a lot of pressure on him. He decided to call, and naturally Marty Mar calls too as well. We see the flop, ace high. We got some spades here. I don't really like it, and I think this is where I kind of spaz out just a little bit. So let's see what happens. So Nathan checks, Marty Mar checks, and I decide to bet. Now, I don't mind betting out here. I think the bet size is a little bit high. The bet size is fine in terms of you're trying to make sure the flush draws don't see a turn card for really cheap. But the same token, I think I like that actually. 595 is fine into that pot because the flush draw, it's hard for a flush draw to call you, and if they do call you, they're not really getting the right odds, and so forth and so on. And it also dissuades another caller. Let's say, for example, I'll make it like 400. Nathan calls, and Marty Mar can call easily. So I kind of want to I just want to kind of keep it a heads up pot from here on out. So Nathan folds and Marty Mark calls. Deuce doesn't change anything. There's 2,000 in the middle. We have to understand that that's half of Marty Mark's stack. So on the future streets here, we got to make sure we are aware of that. So he checks. I decide to bet. Now, this is kind of tricky. I'm betting here with the intention almost of calling off his shove. Now, that may sound kind of weird, but in hindsight, what's he limping here with against the UTG limp, right? I would say, actually, let me retract that for a second here. I just realized something. Yeah, I'm actually betting here with intention of folding almost. He shoves here. He could more likely than not, he had the better ace, I think. Here, you can have ace 10 that he didn't want to get crazy with pre-flop. You could have ace jack. Although I think ace jack would check raise here on the flop. So I guess in other words, it would be a tough spot. But you have to kind of barrel this turn anyway, because that two doesn't change anything on that flop. So he decides to call. On the river, a queen comes off, makes it really bad for me because he could have queen jack now, got two pair. I mean, it'd be really weird for him to play ace queen this way, but he could have ace queen now. So my best option here is to check back if he checks to me. And if he bets out, I really have to evaluate how much he's betting and so forth. He checks, and I said, okay, I check back. And he shows eights. And that's fine with me. Take it down. And I think one of the reasons why I'm a little disappointed in myself is because I was doing pretty well in the beginning and just totally just lost some initiatives. And as you guys will see, and I'll explain it in more detail too as we get there. But anyway, we have queen 7-0, we fold, and we go to flop trip, but that's 20-20 there. Ace 7 offsuit, we fold. You could argue for an open, but I think everybody's calling pretty loose, so I want to kind of have a stronger hand to isolate or open with. Jack 8 suited. Again, I was noticing that Marty Mar limps a lot here, so I really wanted to isolate Marty Mar and really get into a pot with this person. So that's why I did that. We get called in one other spot and then get jammed by Top Notch and flattered by Rocket Rod aces, and I just fold because that's just nonsense. We would have hit our straight, and we would actually have won it, I think. Yeah, we would have won the pot, which is totally ridiculous. But it is what it is. Pretty big pot. But yeah. 10-6 offsuit, UTG gonna fold. King 8 offsuit in the big blind. It's a little tricky here because if you look here, I'm getting 5-1 on my money. Now keep in mind, I'm not looking to flop a king here. I'm looking to flop like king 8 or trip 8 or something like that. But yeah, that's my mentality here when I call. We flop nothing, so we can check. Top Notch best out 125. I decided to fold, and turn comes the king. Top Notch bets out pretty hard. Gets called again by Marty Mar, and Top Notch bets his whole stack. Marty Mar folds. Not quite sure what Top Notch had, but I like his sizing so that by the river he can shove his stack in. I'm not sure if he did that intentionally, but that's a nice little play there, in my opinion. Jack 5 offsuit. I think I'm folding. Yes, I am. He shows 8. So that's nice for him. Queen 10 offsuit. Now, this is something I don't really hate isolating here because there's a lot of money in the pot now. If you look right here, I'm getting 4.51 to my money. However, if I raise and allow these people, let's say everybody folds, which I highly doubt, but a lot of people fold, my hand value goes up in strength because now I'm not going against like 5 different people. But I decided to flat because I'm in position, in the ultimate position on the button. So there's a bet out, and everybody folds. So no bingo for me there. So King 10, I opened up, fold to me. That's pretty standard. Get flattened on the button by DJ Owns You. Get check. I imagine I bet out here to continue my C bet. And my rationale is if DJ Owns You fold, then Trevor's gonna fold. And he decided to raise. Now it's kind of weird. Like, what's he raising here with, right? Now he could probably have like 8-6, maybe he could have like a good 8. That's more likely. He could have some sort of draw, like a 5-7. That's likely too as well, or maybe nines or something like that. But I think he's doing this on a semi draw. So if I re-raise him here, he would probably fold. But anyway, I decided to fold, and he doesn't show. Queen 4 is suited. Fold. I don't hate calling there. Definitely unlimited rebuy. I don't mind that, but decided to fold. 10-5 suited. I fold. The reason why I really don't hate not calling there, reason why I don't mind calling there, because again, look at my stack size. I have 127 big blinds, so I can definitely afford one big blind to see what a flop looks like. Queen 5 suited UTG, little risque here. Opening up against the table that is really active and calling, so not too happy with it, but I don't mind opening it, but it's not happy because the table is not exactly the right atmosphere for it. And as you can see, we get called in 3 spots. Flop is pretty bad for us. I mean, it is paired, so that does help a little bit, but not that good. I decided to check, give up here. On the turn come the queen. That kind of altered my decision a little bit. I decided to check here because I want to see somebody take a stab, and I just want to go to showdown with my queens. So let's see what happens. I'm not quite sure what happens. 9 comes off on the river. Some guy bets 300, which I'm gonna call. Pretty straightforward. And he has a 9-5. Again, he bets 300 into this pot. I'm getting 6-1. Or what am I getting? I'm getting 5-1. I'm not folding. Yeah. Well, if somebody jams or something, I'm folding there. But yeah. Anyway, that's straightforward. Ace-8 offsuit in the big blind. I check my option. No need to try to check raise, or not check raise, but to raise, isolate these guys that limp. No need. I'm out of position anyway. I call. I have ace high. I have some decent showdown value, and that's just my thought right there. And he bets 300. I can fold now safely. He gets clicked back, and Nunu takes it down. 8-9 offsuit and small. Now, if we look here, we're getting 3.29 to 1 on our money, and stacks are pretty good for this. Like, for example, Trey had 155 big blinds. Now, in theory, if we know that Bingy and all these guys are going to call, we can profitably call, right? So I kind of want to, I'd rather like a call here, but we end up not calling. And as you can see, 2 other people call, so we would have been kind of in a good position there. But the flop turned out pretty ragged. And that was that. Ace-Jack offsuit. A raise here, pretty straightforward. Got limpers that probably have garbage connectors, whatever, what have you. And I'm raising for value and for isolation purposes. We get called in 2 spots. We flop an ace, which is nice. If he donk min bets us, which I think is total weakness, right? But however, let's see what happens. I decided to pop it up pretty strong, right? Now, he has 54 big blinds. I'm not quite sure what my bet here is trying to represent, because he made it 100, right? So let's see here. He made it 100. I really don't mind betting at like 500, because if he jams over me, am I going to really call him here? I mean, obviously he has a set if he does that. So I really don't like my bet here, to be honest with you guys. I make it super big, and as you can see, actually, let's see here. Yeah. Well, I think if I raise him, he would shove because his stack is relative to like a shoving stack once I raise him, and he has pretty much the verifiable nuts on the flop. Top pair, good kicker with the nut flush draw, and he gets there on the turn. And yeah, that's that. So he doubles up. 8-6 suited, fold to me. I open. You would argue it's a tilt raise. I kind of think it is just a small percentage tilt raise, but I really just want to get some chips, and I'm in position, and it flops well, so forth, so on. We get a call by Vox. Here's an interesting scenario here. I think Vox and I had a little dialogue with each other, and he was pretty much noticing my aggressive tendencies, and that's the one thing I want to kind of also put a spotlight on, because I think if your opponents are telling you something, you should really take that in consideration um, and really use that information to your advantage. So in this spot here, I raise two flats. Okay, so what's his calling range here? I mean, a weak ace, maybe. Five deuce, not likely. Anything with a deuce, not likely, unless it's pocket deuces. A pocket pair, maybe. That's likely. Broadways, for sure. Like queen jack, maybe in his range, yeah. So anyway, he checks to me. I bet out pretty much half pot, and he raises. Now, when he does that, to me, in my opinion, it's pretty polarized. Either he has it or he doesn't. Now, if I truly utilize his information correctly, I could surmise that he probably is making a play at me. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking he might be making a play at me. This board does connect well against his defending range in terms of, in his opinion, that a deuce could be in his range. But at any rate, I decided to fold, but then he does a show ski, and he showed me, I believe it was a bluff, I think. He showed a bluff. What have you. Anyway, moving along. Jack 2 offsuit, a fold. And that's that. Jack 7 offsuit. Fold there. 7-6 offsuit. Fold to a pretty crazy UTG open. UTG 1 open. Kind of nuts. Juicy table, guys. I really think that the tournament is really good value. The 5Cubed. In fact, you'll see me play it tonight. Yeah. Let's see what happens. So queen against a6, and Bing played it pretty well. I don't know what Johnny K was thinking. King 10 suited, opening UTG, and to be honest, I really don't hate limping. So this is a pretty neat spot here. Let's talk about this. Ace comes off on the flop, two aces, which means less likely anybody has an ace. But it is multi-way, so you got to be a little careful. So what I do here is, okay, if trading bet out here, I would have bet out to kind of weed out the people that didn't have an ace, or find out somebody did have an ace. If that makes any sense. Okay, we get 300 by trade, so I decide to raise it to get information that I would have done normally if it was checked to me. So I raise it. We get flattered by Bingy and tray fold, which I expected a huge percent of the time. I'm gonna continue firing now because Bingy called. He could definitely have a king in his range. Ace is not so likely. But now that I have, well, two pair doesn't really work here because I have aces and kings with a 10 kicker. So I decided to check, and I really think betting here is actually the best play here, but I decided not to. A 3 comes off. I decide to check, and he gets checked back, and he shows 8s. I don't mind firing the turn here. I think my thought process at the time was I want to get to showdown and realize my showdown equity, and that's fine too. Just in case Bingham wanted to fire a bluff on the river. I think that was the idea. I was out of position, so I mean I really don't hate it. It just looks really weak though, guys. When you raise a lead out and then you just check the turn. I mean, it just looks pretty weak. I mean, an ace would actually bet out again, I think. But anyway, moving along. King 9 suited, and I guarantee you guys in the tournament that's not the only mistake I made. We get Vox the Butcher popping it up, Johnny K getting it in for 6 big blinds. New calls, every call. I really don't mind calling with a King 9 there, but it is what it is. I decided to fold it, and Butcher had the 9s. 5-4 suited. We get min raised by Trevor. Trevor's been really spazzy. I don't really hate calling there because again, let's take a look at this. I'm getting 3-1, and I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna call. So if I flop really well, a good chance that I'll be able to stack Trey too as well, because he's probably gonna get it in with an overpairs against my straight or whatever. We get a bet, call, and bet. Now you notice Vox has been calling it down, right? Probably has some sort of queen or some 9. If we had a 9, he's gonna raise it on the river. But let's see what happens. He calls. It turned out that Trey has the 9, and Vox had the queen. Yeah, pretty standard. Jack 10. I would imagine I open and fold to me, and I do. Bingy calls and new folds. Mono flop. I'm in position. If it checks to me, I don't hate checking back, to be honest with you guys. And just seeing what he does on the turn, I am in position, so I do have leverage that way. But I also don't hate firing at the flop too as well. Either one's fine with me. I decide to fire. He calls. He checks. I fire again, and then he folds. My thought process is if I fire the flop and he calls, I have to fire at least one more street because he might be holding the ace of diamonds trying to get to the nut flush or something like that. So moving along, Jack 8 offsuit. It gets open and people go bananas, and he shows 9s. The tray is pretty fantastic. So I have 9s now, and I decide to raise. And I get called by Bingy, and I get called by Vox. 9s on this flop. This is actually a mandatory bet, and I miss it, and I end up folding. But in hindsight, I like a bet here. So Vox raises here, and Bingy folds, and he shows the bluff. Right away at that point, we can surmise that he's capable of making moves, and he can understand a little bit about the board texture. So if I had fired here, I don't know if he would actually call there. If he did make that move, good for him, but I'm not quite sure. King 9 offsuit, fold. I need to show you the hand there. 4-2 suited, I fold. Again, argument can be made. If it was unlimited rebuy, I might be calling that. Now my stack size has gotten a little bit smaller because the blinds went up, so I'm at 66 big blind, which is still a lot. You know, 1 rebuy, 1 add-on. Oh, so I decided to fold that. 8-3 offsuit, I fold. Not really looking to open it or limp it in that spot. Unlike my kicker, flop an ace, I'm out of position, and I don't know if I'm good or not there. 8-4 suited. Rajal decides to limp in the cutoff, or rather the hijack, and we decide to, it looks like we checked it, right? Let's see, yeah, we check it, Rajal checks, Trey bets out, we pop it up a little bit, by the fold, Trey calls. When he hits the jack of spades, It is a pretty scary thing here because what we're trying to figure out is what's he calling was it? What's he calling us with, right? Um, when we check raise or when we raise, he bets, and I want to get value, so I bet out 895. It is a tricky spot, very thin in my opinion, because he could definitely have a flush here, easy. But I want to get some value. I feel like he could pay me off with a jack if he hits a jack and so forth. He does call, and he had king high, which I don't know the rhyme and reason behind that. Maybe he thought he had eight of spades and he hit his flush, but it's whatever. But I was happy with that. 4-2 offsuit. We fold. Awesome flop for Bingy there. King 5 suited. I would imagine we ISO, but no, we limp. It's alright too. I like an ISO though next time. We pick up a spade draw. Yeah, I imagine calling there. And we totally brick. I think I fire here. Yeah, I do. I don't mind firing here. Um, it is super wet though. I mean that river makes a lot of straights. It makes a lot of flushes. Um, but then again, it's scary. It's a scary board too. You know, this could be a bad play. It could be a good play. You know, I think the sizing wise, you could argue with a smaller size because if they're gonna fold, they're gonna fold. If you bet 1,000 or 800 or something like that, so I could save some chips that way. But as it turns out, Nunu call for 4-2. Yeah, the big flush. So that is what it is. 4-3 offsuit, fold. Yeah, would have hit trip on the river. That's alright. A6 suited. I'd imagine I open here. We got antes, and that's another thing too. You look right here, shaky min raised. I think he just got at the table or something like that. I'm not quite sure exactly how he played, so I just decided to fold. But I don't hate flatting there or raising, to be honest with you guys. That's a pretty good hand, late position in the rebuy period. Going for it. King 5-0, fold. 6-4 offsuit, I'm fold, I imagine. Queen Jack offsuit, fold. Looks like shaky likes to min raise a lot, so that's something you want to take into consideration. I have jacks here. I decided to open 3x. Pretty big open, but everybody's calling, so I want to make it as expensive as possible if somebody's going to call. We get called in two spots. We do a mandatory bet out, and we get a fold by Bingy and a fold by Trey. Yeah. And the sizing is pretty relative there. I mean, like, you know, we're basically saying we're committed if they have a draw, so forth. Ace King suited. Roswell gets in. We ship. He shows kings. I believe we brick out. And we do. Nice hand. Roswell. 8-3-0. We're not snap calling Nunu here, obviously. Sevens. Walking sticks. We decide to flat along. You can definitely really think about this now because look what's in the pot right now. The pot is, before I call, the pot is 1,600. Blinds are 125, 250. So that's about like what? That's like 5 big blinds, 6 big blinds, right? And so that's a lot of bigs. Really would like to see myself raising here to just take it down then and there. You're not gonna flop a set all that often. The only thing I was thinking of was maybe that if I did flop a 7, people would spaz out. But I don't know. I really would like an ISO better than a limp. But you know, I'm in position. I got 7s. We can flop a set hopefully. We just fold here obviously because the 7 of spades does not help us out. So yeah, but I would like, and Trey shows the bluff. I really would like to ISO. That would have been my train of thoughts there. So. And if you notice that Trey bet out 2,000, which was over the pot, and took it down. 4-3 offsuit, folding. Trade active. 6-5 offsuit. I fold. As you can see, guys, again, this is just a massive limp fest. So I think you can be totally profitable raising in position to get all that dead money, and you would definitely pad your stack that way with no risk whatsoever. 10-3 off, 10-3 suited rather. Fold. 7-5 suited. I fold. Rebuy period unlimited. I would definitely open that, or I'm sorry, call it, limp it, so forth. Catfish gets it in. 10-7 offsuit. I decide to fold. Catfish and Bingy get it in. Catfish gets his ace. Queen 4 offsuit. I decide to fold. You're seeing a lot of folding by FocusedMotion. I should be called folding motion. But yeah, that was that though. 5-6 offsuit folding. Get King Jack versus Jacks. Jacks get Jacks hold. 10-8-0. We open and we fold. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, so Trey is pretty loose, right? We know that, right? So what we're gonna do? He limped. We're gonna ISO. We want to take down his stack. So obviously, Bingy Dread says no bueno. He probably has a good hand here, so he gets it in. Highly doubt this is a re-steal, and yeah. So that was that. Unfortunate for us, but that was me trying to make a move, so to speak. Make a play. Jack 5-0 fold. 5-7. That's king. Queen 5 suited. Definitely would be calling that unlimited rebuys. I guess you could say that pretty wide in the unlimited rebuy, but that's how you really accumulate to stacks in that rebuy period. King Jack suited. Yeah, it's a little weird that trade 3x here. That is pretty strong, but I decided to try to take him in position. Notice our stack sizes. We have 25 bigs, Trey has 36 bigs. You can definitely argue for a shove here if I think Trey's light, because I'm going to be picking up a lot of dead money. But that's not the case. I flop Jin. I check, obviously. He bets out. I pop it. He calls. Deuce River. If you notice, my sizing now is roughly close to, well, not roughly, but it's somewhat close to the pot. He checks. I bet to get some sort of value because that's what I think. I need to get value. He folds. This guy shows king 10, and we get something here. I don't mind a bet on the flop though, because it's very unlikely for him to see me with king jack there, and I think he would peel off a lot. So he definitely peeled with the 8. So I really don't hate calling here, betting on the turn. I'm betting on the flop. We might not get any action on the turn though, because if I had a jack, I got my straight, so forth, so on. But I think in order to build a pot, I would definitely have to bet the flop there. 8-4 offsuit, UTG fold, and this is where things get kind of hairy. We have Delta 6788. He's a tournament reg, and I played with him a couple times, and I think he knows my playing style and so forth. And yeah, well, we'll just leave it at that. Let's see what happens. 10-9. Whoops. 10-9 in the big blind. Delta opens, and we fold. Now let's take a look at the odds here. We would have 4.57 to 1 on our money. We are we have a hand that does flop pretty well. It is not suited though, obviously. The guys that are calling have bigger stacks than we do. So I really don't hate a call there because we're getting good odds, and we close the action as well. So basically, when we call, then we get to see the cards. We're not waiting on anybody else. But let's see what happens. Fold. We flop. We would have flopped a nut straight draw. Get checked, and Tasby bets, and Delta folds. Ace 8 offsuit and small. Hello, I'm awesome. Isolates the limper. Taffeated flat the limper. Flat the ISO. Um, to be honest, if I think this is a isolation and I think this is a loose flat, I really don't hate 4-betting here. 4-betting cold in this spot. Even maybe just sticking my stack in. It's a pretty aggressive move, but there's a lot of dead money here. So, at any rate, I decided to fold. We see a flop here. Check, bets, folds. So, that was something that you can consider too as well. An alternate line. Queen 10 offsuit. I open. Delta folds. Noticing my bet size. And Avaboy calls. He checks. I bet. He folds. Now, this is the first time I've opened on Delta's blind, so let's take that in consideration too. Or open in that manner at this table. CLS LXS opens. I 3-bet. Pretty decent hand. I'm in position. He is kind of tight. I can definitely take it away on a non-Broadway board. I can totally represent certain hands. This is one of the hands I played pretty bad, in my opinion, and ultimately led to my demise, quote unquote. And let me just double check something real quick here. We're getting close to the hour, so I'm going to speed it up. So Queen Jack suited. We flop pretty decent. We have backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and we have a jab, middle pair. He checks, I bet out. Now, I don't hate that at all. If he has a strong ace, he's going to let me know. He's going to pop me back. I can fold, no problem. He flats here, which is kind of scary because what's he doing that with, right? Now, if he has a set here, he has a straight, he's trying to trap me, so forth, so on. However, remember, I 3-bet pre-flop. I'm showing a lot of strength, right? So what's the natural tendency for me to do on the turn? I need a barrel. And when the 6 of hearts comes off, that should give me more incentive to barrel with the best hand. Like barrel for value, barrel for protection, right? I choose to slam on the brakes. Check, check. And in that scenario, once you do that, you put yourself in an awkward spot because if the river comes off and he bets, what do? You don't know what to do. And I didn't like that. And I really felt like I should have bet that there. So here we go. 8 is a blank. It doesn't help anything. And he bets out about half pot. A little bit over half pot. I'm getting 2.7 to 1 on my money, and I'm not liking it. It just doesn't make any sense. He flats my bet on the flop, and I decide to fold. And he shows miss straight draw, miss flush draw. So that kind of led to the bleeding. And once I started bleeding, everybody else decided to have a playback at FocusedMotion day, and that didn't bode well with me. So I wanted to kind of show you guys that. If you're going to show strength pre-flop, definitely continue your aggression post, especially in position. You have ultimate leverage that way. 3-8 suited fold, Delta opens, Delta check calls, he check calls, and he shows Queen, King, Queen, and Avaboy gets there with his jack on the turn. 10-9-0. I fold. I'm feeling kind of bummed out. I play the hand so poorly. Jack 5-0. Fold. Avaboy said, look at me, ace queen. Jack deuce. Fold. Kings. I pop it. A little bit less than 3x. Probably like 2.3x or something like that. And everybody folds. 5-9-0. We get opens. I fold, and it's pretty interesting. Ava has a jam. He had 9 bigs. I don't mind that. Here's another hand that I'm pretty beat up about too. I really just compounded my mistakes here. we get a limp in late position in the hijack. I decided to complete, which is standard, fine. Delta checks. On this flop, I check with intentions of check raising, but nobody does it. Now, when I turn the heart draw, you could argue for a check because you want to see the next card and you don't want to blow the pot out of position, right? That's all fine and dandy. However, I decided to rep the 7, which is also okay too. I bet out 12.95. Delta pops it back, almost a click back, slightly more than click back, makes it 2 point something. Basically telling me that he doesn't think I have anything on this board, right? Now, I'm in a small blind I completed. That is a pretty strong board for my small blind. Meaning I connect pretty well with that board. I can have an 8, I can have a 7, I could have, whatever. But he decides to make his move here. And I tank for a minute, and I'm like, you know what, this is ridiculous. Now, keep in mind, guys, I'm not calling here. I'm either folding or raise or getting it all in. And in the end, I decide to fold. He shows Queen 9 as a bluff and takes it down. And then he also made a comment saying that Queen High was probably good there. But to be honest, if I shoved there on that turn after he popped me back, I don't think he'd call me. So that was another mistake that I truly felt like. I mean, I don't know if it was a mistake 100% entirely. I just think that sometimes you have to go with your reads, so to speak. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking very possible he could be making a move on me. And he was. But it is what it is. Anyway, moving along. Fold. I would have liked to raise here. I'm on the button with A7. I think I was a little bit gun shy after that. Yeah, it's kind of bad. But anyway. 10-8-0. Fold. 8-5-0. Fold. 6-7-0. Fold. King 3-go. Folding. 9 deuce in the big. Fold. No big blind special for me. Ace 3 suited. I fold. Jason's pretty tight. You can't really jam here. He probably called me with a better ace. Ace 8-0. And I'm going to. Now, here I wouldn't mind a jam. For whatever reason, I felt like a jam was good, but he didn't. I didn't. And Delta jam. And he showed Jack 10 when Quest equity folds. Really funny. So you can tell Delta likes to make a lot of moves. Quest equity opened again, and he had to fold again. Same bet size, and so people are noticing that, and I noticed that too. Deuces, I'm gonna have to get it in. 12 bigs, especially against a limp. Hopefully I don't get called, and don't. Good result. 7-9-0, fold. 10-3 suited, fold. 4s, close. I don't hit a jam, but I think you're embracing variance. The higher variance play there if you jam it. Ace Queen, I say get it in. Delta snaps, super quick. He has queens, and we do not get our spade or our jack. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys learned something from this hand history that I played yesterday. I definitely recommend you guys playing the $5 cube if you can. It's a very profitable tournament in my opinion. Just make sure you understand that, if you're going to show aggression, keep the aggression up when it makes sense. Definitely take advantage of the limpers that limp, because there's a ton of limping going on, even though there's only a 1 rebuy. But I think it's very profitable. In the past, I have won this tournament before, and I'm looking forward to trying to win it again. Again, also keep in perspective that I'm not a professional. So my advice is strictly for your entertainment value, and hopefully if you can learn something from my mistakes, that's all the better. Alright guys, this is FocusedMotion. Please give me a shout out on the forums. If you have any questions, on the BetOnDrew.com BOD video forums. And let me know what you want to see in the near future. Alright, stay FocusedMotion. Peace.
Take this, haters. That don't kill me. can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much longer. Man, I've been waiting all night now, that's how long I've been on ya.